Hello, hello! My name is Callista and welcome back to NieR Replicant. In the last episode, we restarted the game after finishing ending A, and I'm not gonna lie, I assumed that the story would continue to move forward. However, we've actually gone back to relatively early in Act 2 when Emil was reviving Kaine from the stone. Now, we're actually going into Kaine's memories here. We're having a flashback. I guess maybe this is what she was seeing during the 5 years that she was paralyzed, or not paralyzed, petrified. There we go. Yeah, I'm assuming this is what Kaine was experiencing during her petrification, all of her old memories. Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble? It was kind of fun, said Kaine with a small smile. No, seriously, it was. Fun, eh? Asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she believed anything but. Uh-huh. So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her portrait. A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone. But Grandma, it'll make you live forever. Oh no! I've literally only just started. You can't make me cry with a line like that. Oh, goddamn, because I was saying this in the last episode. We know that Kaine's grandmother was dead by the time of Act 1. Or at least I'm pretty sure we learned that she was dead. I'm pretty sure there was a line of like, oh, can I join you, Grandma? Can I join you? Or, you know, the big shade was like, join me in death, Kaine. Like, I swear down. I swear down it implied that Kaine's grandmother was long dead. Oof. But Grandma, it'll make you live forever. Poor shit, said her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons away and help with dinner. But Kaine would not relent. And in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house, as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. It's terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, you know, make drawing easy or something. The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain in her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colours. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, then slowly wheezed out a laugh. Oh, Kaine, she said between laughter. You truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me, and I love it. But, hush, I won't hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. It came from the heart, and I'll treasure it always. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honour above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would... I'm sorry, again, I'm sorry. I'm an emotional mess. I do apologise. I think it's because... Again, I know that Kaine ends up alone. I know that Kaine ends up alone. So this is lovely. This is lovely, but it's all gonna go bad. It's all gonna go bad and sad, and I'm just like, oh no. Okay. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no more and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. Posh, said the old woman. I'll take it down when they roll me in my shroud. She pondered this for a bit, then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on so that someday you can feel that same happiness. It was was a moment that burned itself in Kaine's memory, a perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment, to never forget the old woman who had made her place in this world possible. Oh God, I shouldn't be crying this much, Time moves on. People and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. Separation. Kaine listened to the sound of crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. Grandma, I can't believe you want me to eat a bug. The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. It's no bug, you fool girl, it's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs? Yeah, well, it sure looks like a bug, said Kaine, and I think it's burnt or something because it smells terrible. With that, Kaine held her nose and threw the berry in her mouth, chewing as little as possible. Oh yeah, that's terrible, all right. Why, you little brat, laughed the old woman. Look at the sass on you. You've been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact. 5 years had passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. As is often the way with two stubborn people, their relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and hurled abuse in equal measure. Kaine could not remember a time when she had been happier. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do many of the chores she used to take for granted. And so this morning found Kaine lacing up her work boots with a breakfast of burned berry rolling in her belly. Where are you going today? Asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up, surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. Well, I was going to check out the kelma trees and see if they were ripe. I thought we could make some jam or something. Oh, and I'm going to pick up some flagstones, so I need to take the wheelbarrow. Flagstones? What in the hell for? Kaine stared at her grandmother, then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Constructed mostly of cloth, rope and rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. Grandma, a dying cat could chew through this house. I'm going to build a stone wall so we have some protection. The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. Goddamn girl, if a bunch of thieves wanted to ransack this old place, let them come. We got nothing worth stealing anyway. I'm not worried about thieves, I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday. The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. Well, shoo, I don't know why you have to do it today. We can worry about it some other... Grandma, no. If I don't go to the kelma trees, we won't eat tonight. You know that. A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost at a carnival. If this is going where I think it's going, then I don't know how I'm going to be able to get through this. Literally, I was saying in the last episode, I was talking about my own grandmother. And if Kaine's grandmother's memory is going, okay. Steel yourself, Callista. Steel yourself. A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost at a carnival. Yes, she said after a bit. Yes, of course you're right. I'm sorry, Kaine. Lately it seems as if my mind is... She didn't finish the thought. Instead, walking over to her nightstand and gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer. The flower petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. You're going to be a true woman soon, Grandma said as she placed the flowers in the girl's hair. can do this. I can do this. You're going to be a true woman soon, Grandma said as she placed the flowers in the girl's hair. So that means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls and more talk about how beautiful you've become. Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. You're a beautiful thing, said the old woman, and there ain't another like you in all the world. I'm very proud of you. Okay, Grandma, that's enough goddamn compliments for one day. Such a mouth on you. Where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. I'll teach you to sass me, girl, yelled Grandma. Suddenly she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. Grandma, yelled Kaine in a quaking voice. Grandma, stop it! What the hell? The old woman stared at her and blinked, then slowly held her wrinkled hand out as if this was the first time she'd ever seen them. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry, girl, sometimes my mind just... Kaine thought the look on her grandmother's face was the most heartbreaking thing she'd ever seen. Listen, she began, maybe I should stay home after all. No, I won't have you stay here to keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your wool and whatnot. I'll be fine. And when you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you. Kaine rolled her eyes, then kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart, trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around, she told herself, but in the end the temptation was too great. She spun on her heel for one final look and saw a small bent woman standing in front of a ramshackle hut with a sad expression on her face. God, she looks so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and just carry her away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for the lack of focus, Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her fingers and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black cloud that hovered just ahead. Tracing its path with a finger, Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. No. Oh God, no. Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flames licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma! Grandma! Kaine ran then, faster than she had ever moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground, but she leapt to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It's too dark. It's too dark, not just fire. Can't be fire, too much smoke. Gotta save her, gotta save her. Oh, there's no saving her, methinks. There's no saving her. She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt, her worst suspicions confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with the thick, inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on 3 twisted feet and achieved balance through means of a large armoured tail. Scales, horns and claws sprouted from its body in a random, chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine, it let out a roar and flipped its tail, sending small whirlwinds spinning through the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into a shimmering, inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her. a blend of rotted meat and excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kaine responded with a scream of her own. "All right, you bastard," she thought, as her scream echoed off the high cliffs around them. "It's you or me, let's go!" The shade eyed Kaine with bemused interest. Then it began looking from her to the house and back again, as if urging her to look at the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced towards the house. Through the smoke and flames, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. "Grandma!" "Keep it together! Keep it together!" At the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. "She's alive," thought Kaine. "Alive!" Kaine's legs sprang to life as she raced across the yard toward the flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar powerful enough to uproot trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air before smashing her against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. "Get up! Get up! Get up, get up, get up now!" As Kaine strolled to her feet, the shade stopped towards the house and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of its claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might as well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, then collapsed to the ground, her energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet, only to fall back to the earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. "Grandma, hold on. Just a little longer." Her grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere deep inside its paw. "Bastard! Laughing at us!" She had no idea again, I'm tongue-tied, I'm sorry. She had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion, but there could be no doubt that the shade was taking joy in their suffering. "Yeah, I see your plan." The shade moved its claw slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. "I'm gonna kill this bastard." Summoning all her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted backwards, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble towards the monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. "Give her back!" she screamed. "Give her back to me!" It was like stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The shade panted laughter again, then raised its tail and sent it rushing through the air towards the young girl that was latched to its foot. Kaine never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay on the ground with the blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small, weak voice spoke up. "Kaine?" Oh, dear. I'm trying really hard not to just burst out crying. It's in her final moments, her grandmother is like, she's reaching out for her granddaughter, and I just, okay. Kaine's vision blurred as she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make out her grandmother's hands, reaching out towards her through the smoke. Grandma? Kaine, you gotta run. You can't mess this one. Kaine grabbed the hands and held on with all her strength. Grandma, come on, we have to go. The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. Grandma, no. No! I said run, goddammit! You have to live. You have to get through. The thought would stay forever unfinished. Before she could say another word, the shades... Before she could say another word, the shade's clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from the gaps in the creature's toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognisable mass of rubble and red. Her grandmother was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel the hands which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the fingers, but the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after the other, faster and faster, until they became a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed then, a thunderous sound that echoed off the cliffs and seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground below. The earth shook with every step as it crept towards its prey. Kaine's body slowly rose as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles, her head lolled dangerously to the side, yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just moments before, took a slow, hesitant step backward, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a madwoman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing to the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly, as if a great weight was resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? Think it is. Think I'm bleeding to death. No. Can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it, 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 kill it now! As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer.
The beast approaches.
Oh, I know.
Excuse you, I am not prepared for this. I'm having an emotional moment.
What anger this creature must have. How did it even survive these past 5
Get over
years?
there.
I'm not gonna let this happen again. It dies today. My sword fits lighter.
It's not the blade, but the skill of the user. Strike it down.
Also, wait a minute. Is this the sword I was using at the end of the game? I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna look into some stuff. Excuse you. Please die. Hey, get over there. Excuse you, please. Kaine's dreams encounter. What I had wanted to check, so if we've gone back to the beginning of Act 2, how much of our progress is saved? Like, do I have to redo all of the Act 2 side quests? Because if I do, I'm not doing them again. I completed them all once before. I'm not doing it again. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that is the weapon I was using at the end of the game. So do I still have the weapons? Are they still upgraded? That's what I was going to check. The next time I get back into gameplay, I'll have to remember to do that. Gently. Weakly. Softly. The shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off toward the horizon, stopping along the way to bellow one final roar. Couldn't kill it. Shamed beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see, and only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realise that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of an arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is going to make clapping a real bitch. Ha! Cried a sudden voice from the depths of her mind. Finally gonna die, are you? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to a dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only to be replaced by another, more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop. Don't want to live forever. Want to die right here. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment, then produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing at it with sharpened pincers. Stop! No, don't hurt that picture! Kaine reached out with her remaining arm and waved futilely at the air. To her surprise, The insects fell off the picture and to the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth in a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognisable lump of nothing. The apothecary smiled, then broke into a jolly dance. "See that?" he cried as he danced his jig. "It's perfect now! She looks just like you! Ha-cha-cha-cha!" "I look like that? Oh God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die." Drowning in despair, Kaine laid her head back in the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come. But just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. Well, I am just about out of time for this episode. So in the next one, we're going to figure out who this voice is. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. A special thanks to my channel members such as SM2K. I've been Kallista. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.